Hello, everybody. It is Friday in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My name is Adam Bittner, assistant sports editor for multimedia at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, joined by Jason Mackey for our weekly spot here on the PG Pitt YouTube channel. We're going to be talking about the victory against Duquesne, what we liked, what we potentially didn't like, and what it means for the season ahead. Before we do, we want to thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's ZipRecruiter. Are you having trouble finding the right people to hire? Tired of sorting through endless resumes? Well, the future of hiring looks much brighter because ZipRecruiter's latest tools and features help speed up finding the right people for your roles, so you save valuable time. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/audio. With ZipRecruiter's new advances, you can easily find and connect with candidates in minutes. See a candidate you're really interested in, you can unlock their contact info instantly. Use ZipRecruiter and save time hiring. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And if you go to ZipRecruiter.com/audio right now, you can try it for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/audio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Jason, Eli Holstein looked in command to me. Maybe you can argue he should against a team, an FCS team like Duquesne, and that needs to be the baseline. But I looked at him. I said he just looks like he looks solid today. He did what he needed to do on a statistical level.
Yeah.
Is he being slept on in this ACC pecking order of quarterbacks and maybe even nationally to some extent? You know, when we're talking about those draft QBs next season, I don't think he's in that group. But you know, does he can he play his way into that conversation where he can be like a 2 or a 3 behind Cade Klubnik, especially in the ACC?
Yeah, I mean, I think he can play himself into that category. He's not there, and I think for perfectly justifiable reasons. I mean, we saw really good through 7 games last year, Adam, and then we saw him and his team fall off. We saw him battle injury issues. We saw him get surgery. We saw him look mediocre in the blue gold game. I'm not ready to anoint him as one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC, certainly not the country. Have I watched him and seen some things that are encouraging skill-wise? Of course, but you could probably say that for a lot of guys. I think I had some questions before the season about their wide receivers. I think there's talent there, but until you see the production on the field, I understand asking questions. Blue Hicks answered some of them for me on Saturday. And if Pitt handles themselves the way, or if the Panthers handle themselves the way they did after about the 5th series, I think all of that's going to come together in a very nice way. I like the way Eli Holstein kind of found a rhythm, a little bit more attacking, a little bit more decisive. And looking at their schedule, Adam, looking at the rest of the ACC, I think it's out there. I think he can be in that, what would we say, Carson Beck, Cade Klubnik, and then I don't know who's 3. Can Eli Holstein get there? Yeah, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think Pitt has the talent, but until you do it, I understand why there's questions or why somebody might be sleeping on the kid.
Well, and I'm not all the way there on Carson Beck. I look at Carson Beck and I say
he's going to get it because he's at Miami.
Yeah, but I think that's a guy that you should be able to play in his range at, and that we've seen be inconsistent in the best possible situation at Georgia. You got to give him credit for the win against Notre Dame, but I don't think that's an unreasonable thing for Eli Holstein to shoot for. Jason, we talked a little bit about the running game last week. Didn't see a ton from it in this game. I think that can be a good thing in terms of limiting Desmond Reid's workload. You don't want to overexpose him, certainly in a game like this. But is it a concern for you that you're playing an FCS opponent and no one really stepped up as the guy you can look to behind him if he does, have an injury, or if you're trying to manage his workload a little bit?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't feel like I learned anything any which way about Pitt. And I guess that sort of kills a Pitt analysis video. But I still think it's out there, and I'm not taking anything that I saw to the bank and saying that it's all solved. At least specifically with Desmond Reid, Pat Narduzzi needs to be extremely cognizant of his workload. And Jules Goff, maybe that's somebody you want to get to eventually, but I'm not wasting those bullets or those car crashes on Desmond Reid against Duquesne. It doesn't make any sense to me. And Did I see some things that were encouraging? Yes. Did I see some things that the Panthers could maybe clean up? Absolutely. It was just a lopsided score. And I need to see Pitt against better competition. I don't think we're going to learn anything this week. I don't think we're going to learn anything until the WVU game. That's probably consistent throughout college football. Yes, it worries me, the depth at running back. And that's why I think they need to be, aware of what Desmond Reid's health situation is and not run the wheels off if they don't have to.
Yeah, I guess the question just becomes, do they have to if they can't identify, a number two back that is going to put up the numbers, consistently. Maybe they're not going to be.
I don't think they have a number two back that's going to put up the numbers consistently.
Right. And we didn't see that against Duquesne, and I guess I just that's the kind of thing that makes me say, if you can't do it against Duquesne, is this going to become a problem as you get into ACC play? Like, I agree with you. Don't learn anything in these games per se, but you do see things that make you go, yeah, that's something I'm going to be watching as the schedule stiffens up. And I think that backfield situation is definitely on that list for me. Joey Isabella of Duquesne kind of tore up the secondary a little bit. 8 catches, 120 yards, had the long 59-yard touchdown, but it wasn't like he just got all the yardage. He was consistently getting open. He was consistently moving the ball for Duquesne. Their offense was not able to sustain that with the other people in their offense because they're an FCS side playing in Acrisure Stadium. But do you have any level of concern that a little guy from Duquesne was doing that to the Panthers in the season opener?
No, I don't. Not serious concern. I mean, I took that a couple ways, Adam. I mean, they were behind, so they're going to throw. And Joey Isabella is pretty good. He was a first-team All-NEC pick last year. He's going to be a first-team All-NEC pick again this year. He's going to put up a lot of numbers when Duquesne is playing its established level of competition. I also was sort of impressed by Tyler Riddell, their quarterback, like the transfer from Gardner-Webb. I think he was at East Tennessee before that. He's running for his life a lot of times, and that's by design, and they're not on the same level. But like when Duquesne gets into NEC play, I think the Dukes are going to be pretty good. And so that's what I took away from it. Some of that was against, Pitt reserves. I think Pitt's still figuring some stuff out defensively, at least at, defensive line and the defensive backs. I think the linebackers are pretty set, but, we're seeing a few new names in there in the secondary. I don't know. I'm not freaking out over it. I think it's more just a case of the kid being pretty good and finding some seams. And if you're throwing it a lot, you're going to find somebody to catch it.
Yeah, I think it's just what we talked about with the backfield. It's just like a situation. We'll see how that plays out in subsequent weeks. Jason, you mentioned the receivers.
Yep.
No one guy was particularly dominant for the Panthers in this game. No one had more than 4 catches. No one had more than 70 yards, but they did kind of go pretty deep. Bryce Yates, 2 catches for 69 yards, had the long catch and the touchdown. Yep. Blue Hicks had 4 catches for 55 yards. Kenny Johnson 4 for 47. Total, they had 5 touchdowns. So did anyone stand out to you from that group that, maybe didn't before?
You're my boy, Blue. I love that one. Blue Hicks, a little old school reference. But I mean, his catch in the corner, man. I'm assuming you watched the game and saw it, Adam, but like one hand back like that. It was gorgeous. Yeah, I mean, he's the one that stepped up the most for me. Was at Louisville before. Looks like it's real. CJ Lee's going to be back before too long. I don't think it's a season ender for him by any stretch. I thought Kenny Johnson looked good. Malachi Thomas, the tight end, looked good as well. I think they have enough pass catching options. I think I said this earlier, Adam, but I just, I think that's probably a criticism of Pitt. Feel like they've lost a lot with Konate Mumfield gone. I don't think they've lost as much as people think.
Yeah, I can, and as long as you have the depth, I don't know that you need like a dominant guy and like a go-to target. I think you'd like to spread the ball out a little bit, and having the guys to do it, to put up a stat line like that, is an encouraging trend if it translates to ACC play or even the backyard brawl here in a couple of weeks. So we'll continue to monitor those trends. Jason, thank you for joining me. If you're just joining us for the first time on this channel, which is I think a little over 2 weeks old, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Help us out in the YouTube algorithm. Excited to keep talking Pitt sports here in subsequent weeks. I also want to thank our friends at FanDuel for sponsoring this show. Otherwise, we will talk to you again real soon.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.